2 weeks in, kind of describe the progression of the offense, and you feel like it keeps taking steps.
Yeah, I definitely do think we're continuing to take steps. I think one of the biggest things that we were talking about after our first week was just kind of stuff that we can control. And I think, we had a lot of false starts the first week. We had some, stuff that was in our control that we didn't do a very good job of. And, we were able to clean all that up in the second week. And I also thought we did a really good job of, I thought we ran the ball really well too. So, I think now we're just trying to put the pieces together. I think we're really close.
2 games in a row where the offense has started hot, third quarter it just kind of cools off. What do you guys do to address that and fix that going forward?
To be honest, it's just coming down to execution. I think we're getting the looks that we want. We're getting some of the stuff. We're just, some of it has been like a little bit of like, that was a poor circumstance. But also I think, as we're just continually to like get closer with one another and get more comfortable with one another, I think, I think we're doing everything we can to close the gap.
Looks like I saw, a couple of passes you had, if took a little off or went a little farther, it would have gone for big plays. Same thing with offensive line. If there was one more block here, so does that mean that there's progression there, that you feel like things are going in the right direction?
Yeah, there are multiple times that, we're like a foot away from having a big play, and I think, some of that stuff is just like, I just think we're that close. I think whether it's the first game or last game, we're really close to the score being a lot different than what it is. And I think, the guys are recognizing that, we're seeing that, and I think, it's just going to come down to us closing that gap. I think we're all aware of, that we're very close and that we're gaining strides. But, of course, it's just really coming down to the execution part.
Is it easy for you guys to kind of balance being frustrated, being that close, and just focusing on yourselves, or how would you kind of classify that?
I think the only level of frustration would be because of the expectations we've set for ourselves. And, I think kind of the thing is that we've seen it done in practice. We've seen, like, honestly, constant repetition of some of these things. And, it's not like, some of these things are not really big things. They're just really close. And, I think, us recognizing that, we can do a lot of these things that, so if anything, there's like a level of confidence that's like, all right, we're getting close. And once this thing starts clicking, we're going to be really dangerous.
How's the quad feeling?
It's feeling really good. This is the most healthy I've felt in a month. So this will be my first full week of practice of not missing anything and participating in everything. So, I'm excited to just be fully back in, and it's a relief.
Being so close but not quite there yet, do you think that's just a byproduct of missing time right before the season started, and you guys are still working a little bit on that cohesion as the season goes through?
I think it's just more of, you're going to be better we're going to be better next month than we are this month, and I think, this is our first time in game situations. So, I think, I don't think that this is going to be a continuous thing. We're just going to continue to get better, and I think, we're getting a lot closer. And, over the course of the season, we're going to look back and be like, wow, like we were messing that up. And then, in a couple of weeks, it's going to be second nature. So, as I said, we're just doing everything we can to just get as best as we can.
A lot of teams out there that probably wish they were 2-0 at this point. A lot of guys talked about a good vibe in the building. How would you describe kind of the general feeling after the 2-0 start that you've got going right now?
Yeah, I think, the guys feel like we're in a really good spot. As Coach Ferentz has said, 2-0 is the best we could be at this point. So, we're sitting here at 2-0, and, we're just focused on getting 3-0.
How much of the playbook do you think you've had to put on the shelf for a little while because of your injury? Iowa doesn't traditionally likes to do bootlegs off a lot of play action, or go and then hit the tight end on a cross and stuff, and you haven't really done any of that. Is that probably because of your injury, or is that just a change in the playbook per se?
Well, there's a lot of the different plays that we could get to, but some of it doesn't fit the schematics of the defense that we're playing. So, there's multiple different ways to take advantage of a defense, and sometimes, I mean, I'm not going to say that I've been able to fully sprint like the last 2 weeks. So like, of course, like maybe some of my movement, some of the movement in the pocket has been, I mean, we weren't able to like QB sneak on 3rd and 1, but, I think from now on, like, those are going to be things that, as I'm getting closer to 100% that we'll be able to incorporate. But as far as like the play calling goes, I mean, we're just running the best plays that we can to take advantage of the defense.
Western Michigan is pretty aggressive defensively, blitzing a lot. They're going to come at you. How do you combat that?
Yeah, I think, our level of communication up front and with me, the backs, and, really everyone just being on the same page, because we know these guys are going to come a lot. I mean, there's but no, but they have like a 78. They're in the high 70% pressure. So I'd appreciate if none of you guys posted a video of that. Yeah, I mean, we have to be on key with our hots. We got to be on key with our protection. So, damn it, I was not expecting that, but yeah, we'll be. Yeah.
Too much creative, Brian.
Maybe not enough.
Completing 56% of your passes so far. How much do you think that could improve? And is some of that why it hasn't been higher? Is that partially injury-wise or more so schematics? Or
No, I mean, I definitely think it should be higher, and it's a combination of a lot of things. I mean, completion percentage it can be my footwork, it could be where the ball is going, it could be a lot of different things. I mean, I've had to throw the ball away maybe a couple more times than I would like to when I would usually like scramble, but yeah, I mean, I got to improve on that.
When you had surgery at the end of last year, was that the longest you've ever been without playing football from like that kind of recovery time?
This is the most amount of time I've ever been away from football. Like I've been throwing footballs yearly. I mean, around every single month, every week for the last, I don't know, like 15 years of my life. So this is definitely the longest I've gone without playing football. And, there's a lot of things that I'm like pretty relieved, as in like I still have like a lot of my second nature things, but I mean, I'm still, now I'm excited because, I mean, just like, even though I've been away from football for so long, this is my first week of being in practicing for a game, in like a year. So, I'm just really happy that I'm in this situation now that I can, really put the gas pedal down and, get after these weeks in the preparation.
Is there like an adjustment in trying to feel like the game slows down again? Like, is it when you haven't played for so long and you get back on the field, like what is that just like of trying to kind of get back to where you were?
I mean, I don't think I think just as you're continuing as a player you're just wanting to get better as much as you can. And I think, there are things that I'm doing right now that I was doing better than before I got hurt. There are some, there are all obviously some things that I think I could get better at. So, I think over the course of this year, like I've been able to focus on a lot of things due to my injury that from like a strengthening standpoint, from a mechanic standpoint, that probably I wouldn't have been able to do if I didn't get hurt. So, there's good and bad to all of it.
The offensive coordinator has generated a lot of discussion, I guess, partly because of his contract and what have you. But what's been your feel of working with him, and what do you think of the game plans he's put together?
I mean, I have total belief in Coach Brian, and I think the rest of the guys do too. I think, what we've been able to do in practice and what, we've shown some signs of in the game is, that we can be an explosive offense and push the ball down the field, and while at the same time, run the ball really well. And I think, we all know how hard Brian works, and we all have a tremendous amount of respect for him.
Cade, with the running game, you hit the big play with Jazz, but then there's some other areas where it kind of bogs down. Is consistency the big thing right now with getting the running game going on a more consistent basis?
I mean, we're always going to shoot for trying to be as consistent as we can, and I think, a lot that has to do with like different parts of the game. I mean, it's going to be tough to run the ball when the defense knows we're going to be running the ball, like at the end of the game, So there's going to be times, that it is going to be more difficult. And I think, especially last game, we were able to like run a lot of play action on some of those situations, and that really paid off for us. So, I mean, there's give and take, but, you know, as I said, we're just trying to, you know, just get better and, you know, every aspect, whether it's a run game or pass game.
Cade, I know you guys have taken some shots down the field, maybe not all of them have connected, but how much of a point of emphasis has that been just during the week of trying to, whoever it is, Nico, Luke, Deontay, just testing the defense deep?
Yeah, I mean, that's been a point of emphasis for us, that we have a lot of belief in those players. And, I mean, if you're going to push the ball down the field, it's going to be pretty difficult to be 100% on all of those, just because the level of difficulty, you know, only increases by the, you know, as the yardage increases. So, I mean, honestly, I think we're hitting probably like every other, in my opinion. So I think, you know, the more, you know, just the more chances that we just keep getting the looks that we want, and, you know, us connecting on those, I mean, it's just going to be huge for our offense.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think a wide receiver had a catch in the first half against Iowa State. Has that been something that you guys have talked about, or been an emphasis that you guys do want to spread the ball around a little bit more?
I mean, I didn't know that. I'm not really. I mean, of course, I'm concerned about, you know, everyone. You know, I'm just trying to put the ball where it's supposed to be.
How would you describe Jazz?
Jazz, that dude is relentless. I think he is. He's willing to give up his body no matter if there's a gap there or not. I mean, he runs so hard, and, you know, one play that sticks out in my mind was we had a play action play, and we had two guys coming off the edge, and Jazz literally dove and took out two guys at one time, and it gave me just enough time to get the ball to Eric. And I think, you know, that just shows his level of, you know, unselfishness and what he's willing to do for this team, and I know I definitely appreciate it.
Did you see that happen live, or was that something you didn't see until you went back?
No, I mean, as a quarterback, you're not like looking down at the rush. So I was able to watch it, you know, when we got into the film room, and I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know that even happened.
Even when Jazz isn't going horizontal through two games, I'm sure you're happy with the pass protection. I mean, you've had a big pocket back there.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, there's some things that I could still kind of get used to is his, I mean, it's sometimes secondary pressure, you know, like those are the guys you're looking at from a quarterback standpoint. So when those guys come, you know, you usually feel like you can sense their motion around you a little bit more. So, I mean, Jazz did such a good job of picking up corner blitzes and, you know, a lot of those secondary pressures. And, I mean, those are tough blocks for a back to make, and he's consistently making them right now.
Going back to when you just had surgery and like weren't able to do things physically, like what did you do did you watch a lot of film? Like what did that look like when you couldn't throw or run? Like how did you kind of?
Well, I kind of did. Well, I would, whatever I could do, I would do, and then I'd evaluate that. I mean, I wasn't able to watch, like, I don't think like watching like a lot of particular film, like if it went in terms of like learning a new offense or something. Like when I first had surgery, like, you know, I was, you know, still at Michigan, so I knew the playbook and everything, and I wasn't able to like, you know, play, so I wasn't looking at as much opponent film as I would usually. But I think, you know, I would still look at film to try and help the other guys and everything. But I think, you know, I just did everything I could, whether it was like from a walking standpoint, just trying to make my movements more efficient. And that was something that I was able to pick up a lot when I was able to get the crutches off and be able to be weight bearing and all that stuff. So, I mean, there's a process to everything, but there's a time that it was just, I'm not worried about football. I'm just worried about if I can bend my knee to 60 degrees by next week, you know. And I think me having those short-term goals really helps me get through it.
How valuable was it for the offensive line and the running backs keeping you clean these first 2 weeks? How valuable was that for your recovery? You said it's the best you felt in a month.
Yeah, I mean, it's huge. And I think, you know, these guys are just continually to just, you know, I think everyone has such a growth mindset right now, and they're playing very hard. And, you know, and I just think, you know, I just truly appreciate that because, you know, there's a huge level of respect when it comes to the offensive line. And, you know, when, you know, we're able to like spread the love, and, you know, I want to make sure that those guys know that not just me, but the other skill players on this team appreciate them.
What's key to connecting on those downfield throws, like the one to Vines, the one to Lachey in the last game, like you barely missed those. So what's key to making that connection happen?
I mean, repetition.
From Hayden the last couple of weeks as he settles into
I mean, he's such a positive guy, and he is very similar to Jazz. I mean, he just goes in and just rams whoever's in the hole. I mean, he just blocks. I mean, he just comes downhill too, and I think he's just, we appreciate him on this team too. I mean, there's a lot of guys right now that are playing very unselfishly, and he's definitely one of those guys.
All right, thank you, Cade.
Thanks, Cade.
Good.
Deontay said he's gonna run up the tab when you take him out for that dinner.